everyone, Jenitsu here. Welcome back to another video. So I discovered that I actually love bullet journaling and I loved how my setup spreads turned out, so I'm gonna try and do this for the rest of the year. So January's theme is My Hero Academia. Let's get started. Since it's January, I decided to do a blue winter spread with snow-covered trees. I started out with a watercolor base and added layers until I was satisfied. Then I added white to give it a misty sort of effect and used an Arteza brush pen to draw in the trees. And the snow I added with a white Posca pen after the tree was dry. I wanted to have our beloved characters up to winter shenanigans, so on the left I have Bakugou violently pelting Deku in the face with a snowball, and on the right I have them making s'mores, where Uraraka is floating marshmallows above Todoroki's head, and Ida is excited with his grand hand gestures. He hasn't quite reached Lelouch v Britannia's level of over-exaggerated gesturing, but he's pretty close. Also, I think Todoroki as a campfire is cute. Above that, I added the heading of January with some cute little falling snowflakes because I thought the top was missing something. Next is the monthly at a glance. I was going to have the days hanging normally, but then Kachan showed up and blasted a hole through the whole month. The papers and tasks are everywhere and I can't do anything with them. I actually got this idea when I was making my friend Karina's anime bullet journal. I have him saying, "Die tasks," and I thought it'd be funny if he exploded all the calendar days away. Yes, this hole does go all the way till the end of the month. I was committed. Also, I've never drawn a Kamehameha wave, so that was a learning experience. The next page is my budget tracker. I have bills on the left and transactions on the right, and when I realized I had extra space, I added our incomes. I was going to make it All Might's color scheme, but then I didn't actually have anything else on the page to color, so he's just kind of sitting there at the bottom by himself. On the right side of the page, I made a habit tracker for chores primarily. I had so much trouble with the circle tool that day. It kept getting stuck on the other page and screwing up my circles. I wanted originally to add trackers for studying art and posting regularly for social media, things like that, but I was so frustrated by that point at how bad it was turning out that I just filled the rest of the space in with washi tape and moved on. Next is where the weeklies start. Believe it or not, the very first drawing I ever did with alcohol-based markers was that of Midoriya holding a tray of muffins. I mentioned that in my first sketchbook tour video that I posted last week. I'll leave the link here. The proportions are terrible, but I fell in love instantly with how well they blended his hair colors. That was really when my art started improving after being stagnant for several years. So in honor of my little Deku, I decided to redo that drawing much smaller this time and have him holding cinnamon rolls. Since I noticed quite quickly on the internet that him being compared to a cinnamon roll is a super frequent occurrence. It's gotta be the freckles, man. They make him look so cute. Sprinkles of brown sugar. But anyhow, I also added cinnamon rolls around the border to balance the page, drew a cute little coffee cup design to his apron, and added eclairs and such to fill the empty space. It was still looking a little blank, so I added some chocolate sprinkles to give it a more complete finish. Also, some of the brown bled through to my habit tracker page, which made it look even more like garbage than it already did, assuming that was possible. I'm glad I only have to look at this for 1 month. I also made another mistake, where I wrote the wrong days on the far left for which week this was, so I left the numbers out and we can just pretend that didn't happen. The next 2 pages I did of Todoroki again. He grew on me a lot as the series progressed. He's awkward and sweet and like mildly autistic. He's great. Easily a top contender for best boy. Although I personally think that award goes to one of the characters on the next page, but I'll get to that. For this, I wanted to try something different and split the entire 2 pages into thirds, leaving the outsides for writing and the inside for decoration. As I did once before, I made this a fire and ice spread to correspond with Todoroki's 2 sides. I drew the boxes and such in the middle, and then realized I had no idea what to draw on them or what color scheme to go with, since blue and red don't really go together. So I just tried to draw a bonfire and some crappy looking ice crystals. I wasn't terribly inspired for this spread if you couldn't tell. I should know better by now that I can't repeat ideas. Ah well. On the bottom I also drew Todoroki holding up a baby polar bear, Lion King style, and that's kind of precious. Redeems the blah a little bit. Just a little bit. At last we stumble upon subjectively, my best boy. Drumroll please. Tamaki Amajiki, my little eater of sun. He's just good and shy, and I just want to nibble on his little elf ears. Wait, did I say that out loud? Well, Deku was my favorite until this little octopus elf boy popped into the manga, but I love me a good introvert. Golly. This was my favorite idea aside from the Todoroki s'mores. I remembered that Tamaki could grow wings if he eats enough poultry, and I thought, how cute would it be if he tried to paint those wings to look like butterfly wings so he could befriend the butterflies? Obviously he can't paint them without Mirio's help, so that's what they're doing here. I also decided to draw Tamaki's hair the first way I ever did it. He hadn't been animated by that point, so I just made up his hair color. I may not be a terribly original artist, but that way of coloring Tamaki's pink and blue hair is all mine, baby. For the weekly spread, I just made basic boxes at the top half to keep it out of the way of my main drawing. I did originally plan to have Mirio's face be little sunshines throughout the days of the week, but in the middle of the sketch I decided to go with a tropical theme instead. He's a good boy too, Mirio is. There's just so many likable characters in this series, it's hard not to get attached to them all. This is probably my favorite spreads, of the spreads this month. And last but not least, I wanted to do a short half spread, so I chose Tokoyami. I made the background black as a sort of juxtaposition to the bright sunny butterfly spread, and in one of the boxes I have his Mad Banquet of Darkness quote, which I thought was kind of funny. In the middle I have him looking alarmed once he noticed the big hole that Bakugou blew through his page. On the squares that weren't days, I added little bird-themed things, a nest, some flying through the sky, and it was kind of meh, so I remembered my gold feather washi tape, and I thought that would be a nice touch on the spread of this bird person. I realized I was going to add dark shadow, and then I totally forgot. But anyway, without further ado, here's the final flip through. I'll be honest, this month didn't turn out nearly as good as I expected. I guess some weeks I'm just less inspired than others, like that crappy autumn vibes acrylic I did a few weeks back. The January page, cinnamon roll, and tropical spreads turned out how I envisioned it, but the rest just didn't. I sat uninspired on Todoroki's spread for like a week. My inspiration was having none of it. But hey, on the bright side, I don't have to look at it for very long before I start the next one. What will be the next one, you ask? Since the hype is growing for the final season of quite possibly the biggest defining anime of our generation, next month's theme will be Attack on Titan. Get ready. As always, thanks for watching. If you're new here, I'm glad to have you. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next Friday.